Welcome back to Whiskey with E. I'm Eric. Now, today, let's just say we are going to recap on the oh, Bakers, the 7 years old small batch. Oh, sorry about the lighting, guys. Alright, maybe I'll come closer and we won't move as much. Alrighties. So, pretty much when I first uncorked this, the fresh crack had a funkiness. Obviously, I'm using a synthetic cork now just to, change up the cork. Don't go dark. Maybe I gotta move slow. Oh no. Alrighties, here we go. Ignore the dirty glass. So as we're gonna recap this, I'm going to explain to you what is going on with the blending experiments batch 3. But we'll get to that a bit after. But for now, let's just recap on this Baker's 7 year small batch. Alrighties, here we go. So on the nose now, as it sits at half a bottle ish gone. My apologies about the lighting, guys. I really got to move maybe slower. Alrighties. So pretty much, as they say, when you open up a bottle, maybe you should let it sit, let it have some air time because, sometimes all those heat and the rough around the edges notes can tone down from some oxidization with some air in the bottle. Now, I guess I'm the type of person to enjoy some blending shenanigans and, get it down to this point. I don't have to really sit this up on the shelf for a month and let it open up. You can just maybe just take out half a bottle and just see if it changes the next day, to be perfectly honest. But that aside, let's see what it noses like now. Alright, now it is becoming the Baker's 7 year small batch that I remember. Alrighty, so all that funky, that, what do you call it? It's almost like earthy, dusty, fruity notes. It's kind of toned down a bit. Now we're getting to the quintessential Baker's Jim Beam kind of, that roasted peanutty kind of profile there. I mean, get me wrong, it's still very sweet. You got that brown sugars, the vanillas, the caramels. The oak presence is there, but it's not like a deep, dark, rich kind of, like a well-aged bourbon oak. This is more like you're getting elements of just oak in with the mix. But honestly, it's becoming more of a traditional bourbon, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey note. It's more that creme brulee kind of sweetness is coming out. That vanilla is almost like a custard, like a caramelized brown sugar kind of note. I'm not saying the vanilla and the caramel is poppin'. Like, for example, the Wild Turkey 13 Distillers Reserve. Now that vanilla was like vanilla extract. So sometimes when you say vanilla and caramel, sometimes specifically those notes can be dominant. Like the caramel, you could just smell caramel or vanilla. It's like vanilla extract. This is more like hints of vanilla and caramel, interweaving with the roasted peanuts and that oaky barrel char kind of note. But it's becoming a lovely, more approachable nose. I mean, less funky. I think that funkiness could either confuse you at the start or scare you off. But like I said, with a little bit of airtime, a few days later, but look at that airtime, alrighties, has done this a lot of magic. Alrighties, here we go. Alright, first sip. Mm. Mm. Okay. Mm. Oh. Alrighties. Let me explain that mind state. When I was letting it sit on top of my tongue, and then I took a breath, I could get that funky apple note that I was describing as like an earthy fruitiness, or like maybe it was like a sour apple, something like that. Like a dusty corn note or something. You're getting that there on the breath when you're breathing. Now, if you don't breathe and you just splooshed around and swallowed, you're probably not going to pick up that more, and it's going to be more of that roasted peanuts kind of vibe. You're not going to pick up that funkiness, but let's see. I won't breathe this time. Still comes out a little bit, but it just comes on for like 2 seconds, that funkiness. Then it kind of just rolls into the sweet vanilla, the caramel, the caramelized brown sugar, that roasted peanutty note. Kind of heads towards that kind of barrel char oak. I mean, it's not like a sweet, well-aged oak or anything like that, but it's just becoming a good Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, like the quintessential bourbon notes that Jim Beam has to offer. But you know what? Let's try a gargle. All right, gargling brought out more of the oakiness. Honestly, comes out more. That roasted peanut note even came out a little bit more. You know what? It's opened up really nicely, so there you go. Maybe if you didn't want too much funkiness and you didn't want the heat of the bourbon to affect you when you first open the bottle, maybe it is a thing to give it some air time. Some may even suggest you just open up the cork and just leave it open for some time. Some may suggest, you pour some out so that there is air in the bottle so that it does get to do its thing. But anyways, we are going to get to the blending experiment batch 3 now. Full disclosure, I've tried to do this video before. It kind of cut out, so I'm redoing this. So I've already poured in the bakers. Now the blend of the Weller 12-year 50/50 with the Woodford Reserve Very Fine Rare Bourbon, buzzwords. All right, there was practically around this much left here. All right, so the fill line is like the top of my finger, roughly there. I just added in this much of the bakers. Now, that being said, I was a little bit disappointed that on the nose, maybe that Lagavulin Isla smoke kind of faded a bit, but you can still pick it up on the palate. All right, for everyone that doesn't know, batch 3 was, like the last that the wood was filled with was the Lagavulin 2022 special release. I emptied that. There was still even some Lagavulin 2022 special release left in the bottom of the glass. I then topped it up 50/50 with the Weller 12 and the Woodford Reserve Very Fine Rare Bourbon. It was, I was tasting it and, just seeing how it's going every day, like how's that influence coming? Is it drawing out more of the, the red gum woodiness? Because I did add in some virgin red gum as well, So I added in probably 2-3 pieces of virgin red gum, like as in I haven't filled up anything with it before in the past. I just stuck it in there. It was floating on top here, kind of sealing it like a barrel, and then I just thought I would see what that does, and yes, it did exactly what I thought. It brought out more of that red gum note, which, I don't know, if you're not used to red gum, maybe you don't like too much oakiness, or maybe it's going to be too woody. So then I started thinking, maybe it's heading towards too much red gumminess, and we needed to add in some higher proof. Not saying that the Baker's 7 is a higher proof, but at least it's 107. I actually wanted to put in a barrel proof into this, but that's all right. But you know what? We are going to taste how this is going now, because it has mingled now. I mean, you can still see some swirls in there, but this is why I say when you first blend some things, you're going to see that alcoholic swirl in your glass. You actually want that to settle. So you want to, I used to blend things and let it sit for a year before I went back to it, but we're not doing that here. But let's just say you got to let it do its chemical thing. I'm not a chemist. There's no chemistry here, but there is a bit of science with this. Anyways, let's see how this blend is going. Alrighties, so Weller 12, Woodford Reserve, very fine rare, and this much of Baker's 7. Here we go. Alright, that red gum woodiness has toned down. I'm bringing out more of that quintessential bourbon notes, but it is deep, dark, and rich. Like, I think that red gum wood in there, and along with the previously soaked Lagavulin 2022 special release, it's bringing out this smokiness. Like, obviously Lagavulin is campfire smokiness, peaty vibes. That is actually coming through, but it's not overpowering. Like, if I poured this up for you blind, you would not be able to tell that, oh yeah, there's Lagavulin. It's a Lagavulin barrel finished, bourbon or blend or anything like that. You're just going to get an impression that this is a well-aged bourbon. Now, it actually noses really beautiful. You know what? Let's have a sip. Cheers, everyone. Oh, I mean, that's pretty good. It's not, it's not, it's not wood gum, like woody tannicness. Yes, you're getting the impact of the virgin red gum that I added in as a, secondary thing. But my goodness. And when you're breathing, when you're holding it in your mouth and you're breathing, you can pick up that red gum note. You know what? It's actually very nice right now, but I think I do want to add in some more Bakers. So you know what? Let's do that. Alrighty, here we go. Oh, I was about to say pause for the cork pop, but too late for that. Here we go. Alrighties, Baker's 7 years, small batch. We're adding in some extras. Alright, there we go. I wonder how much more of that red gummy woodiness is going to tone down purely because I added that in. But keep in mind, technically, I probably should be pulling this out right now and counting this as a blend, because if I leave this for another night, that woodiness will impart more flavor. But you know what? I'm going to do something very interesting right now as well. So I'm just going to put this on here for a sec and grab out the interesting component. Alrighties. So what we have here is a glass of, if people have been watching, I had the Galloway pipe. Now this is an older bottling of port from Australia. I put some in with some virgin red gum. So you know what? I'm going to be maybe taking out some of this. Alright. Where is... Oh my goodness. Maybe I'll just use my finger because I can't see. I'll have to pause the video. I need some tweezers. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. Uh-oh. Alright. Couldn't find tweezers. We are going to use this waiter's friend. Alrighty, so I am going to pull out some pieces like so, and we're just going to add it in there. Alrighty, here we go. Uh-oh. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Come on. Here we go. Uh-oh. Just drop it in there. Boom. Alright, here's another piece. Let's go. Boom. Alrighty. Oh, maybe another piece. Here we go. Just a little piece. Alrighty. Boom. And then you know what? For good measure, we are even going to just tip in some of this port in there. For good measure. There you go. Alrighties. Now we got something interesting. So for science, guys, we have just added in some port, but I'm going to count that as we finished it in a port barrel as well. All right, for science, it's a port barrel, but I mean, that port influence hasn't come through yet. I didn't add in that much, but you know what? Let's have a little sip. Who loves their blending experiments? Let me know, what is your kind of favorite blends? What do you mix? You know, what bottles do you buy to make your infinity blend? Have you found some awesome combos? Let me know in the comments. All right, let's have a sip, guys. Oh, that is good. You know, normally when you add port into things, that real acidic port vibe actually comes out a lot. But since this has been toned down with the red gum virgin wood bits, this is actually working well. Oh my goodness. You know what? Let's have a taste of the actual port itself. Let's go. Uh-oh. Pause. All right, this port on the nose. Honestly, it's still sweet. It's still that quintessential raisins, salt, you know, like that sweetie port vibe. But you know what? That red gum, virgin red gum wood influence is actually parting off that red gum woody influence. But you know what? Let's have a sip, guys. Oh, still sweet, but it's got more components of, it's more aged because there's more of that red gum woody sweetness. You know what? I'm going to add more of this in. For science, let's go. Uh-oh. Alrighties. For everyone that thinks this is very strange, now keep in mind, Jim Beam does do a small batch like Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey finished with tawny. So tawny is port. So essentially, I'm just making a better version of this. Alrighties. Now, here we go. But even that release is a little bit too tawny port influence. So we don't want to overpower it with the finish. We want to give it that subtle sweetness. So here we go. I'm going to add in some more. Done. Alrighties. You know what? We're going to let that mingle. But like, comment, subscribe. Tune back for more of this blending experiment. I mean, this batch number 3 is definitely not finished yet, but you know what? Let's have a sip. Cheers, everyone. Drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And let me know if you do these blending experiments. Cheers, everyone. Oh, Lagavulin smoke. There is the sweet from the port. There is quintessential bourbon notes. You know what? This is awesome right now. Remember this blend, future me. Now don't go taking this idea. Now big distilleries are probably there like, oh, we can shortcut aging by doing this wood thing. But I think people are already doing that. You know, I think there's Oak and Eden or something. I think they put a spiral of a oak wood in the bottle. But that might just impart more woody characteristics. You know, maybe it's not the same as having a well-aged bourbon, you know, like the sweet oak. And you know, nothing better than a well-aged bourbon, guys. But You know what? I'm having another one, guys. Cheers, everyone. Wow, this is all right, guys. Good blend. Mm. Breathing. Definitely red gummy note has toned down. It's become more oaky now, like a sweet, well-aged oak. If I gave you this blind, you're going to think that this is a beautiful, well-aged bourbon because of that. There is a smoky element. There's the oaky element. You know, that Lagavulin 2022 special release influence in the wood. Oh my goodness, this is beautiful, guys. Alrighties, like, comment, subscribe. Much love to you all. Wishing everyone an awesome day. Much love to you all, alright? Yous are all awesome. If yous are following me on my journey, I appreciate yous, and let's just say we will tune back in for more blending experiments. I'm going to let this sit for some time and we will come back to it and see what it's doing. Alrighty, guys, have a good day or have a good night whenever you're seeing this. Much love to you all. Take care, everyone. Alrighties. Later.